Hello. In this video, we're going to go over the absolute basics of Photoshop just to getting started, and the intention is to aid you in a studio, architectural studio, going forward. Photoshop is really a great tool because of the large variety of styles of images that you could create. You could create abstract images or more photorealistic ones, depends on your interest, so pick a style and chase it. Here's some examples of work that I have not done, but it just showcases the different styles you can do. And here's some work that I did through my freshman and junior years of college. I like this kind of watercolor tree type of look. So to get started, hit New File, and once you're here, you can change the width, height, and resolution of your file. Just be aware that, the more pixels and resolution you use, the file size will be larger, but it will be higher quality image-wise. I tend to use 3000 pixels by 1500. As for resolution, I typically like somewhere in between 250 and 300, but of course this depends on your image size. If you're doing a large presentation board, you might want a higher resolution because it's going to be printed at a larger scale. Just be aware of that. If it's a small image, you can go with a smaller resolution. I'm going to be opening this file just as a background to show the basics of Photoshop. So once we're here, we can see the background layer in the layer hierarchy on the right side of the screen. This is in the layer tab. So we're going to add a new layer down here in the bottom right. This will allow us to draw and change things up top. I'm going to tap on the text with a double tap so I can rename it. So now I'm going to show you a couple tools. So you can scroll up and down with the scroll wheel, of course, or hold the bar on the right side or the bottom of the screen to go side to side. Another thing you can do is if you want to zoom in, you can go to the percentage in the left corner of the screen and type, and that will let you zoom it in or out. Another thing you can do is actually hold Alt and use the scroll wheel, and it will zoom in and out using your mouse, and it will of course go to where your cursor is currently. So now I'm going to show you a couple of tools. The first tool we'll use on the left side toolbar is the pencil. If you don't see it, it might be hidden in a drop-down menu, different symbols. If they have a small little white triangle, you can right-click on them to reveal the drop-down menu. You can see there's also brushes and things in here, but we're going to use the pencil. Click and drag with your mouse to start drawing. Now, there's a couple different things we can use with the pencil tool. The first one will be just changing the color down here in the left side corner. The left side color that's on top of the other one is the primary selected color. And using this little arrow, you can switch between them to the secondary color and draw with that. Another thing you can do on the top left, you can hit this drop-down menu to change the size of your brush. You could either drag the slider or type something, and you can see it makes it thicker. You can also change the opacity down so that you can draw a translucent line. You can also turn the smoothing up, which kind of gives you a calligraphy type of feel where the pencil drags behind your cursor if you need fluid, natural movements. If you want to undo something that you've done, you can simply hit Ctrl and Z to undo your last drawing or thing that you've done in the program. And if you want to redo it, you hold Ctrl, Shift, and Z at the same time to redo. Another way you can get rid of something like a mistake or something you wanted to undo, you can hit the Eraser tool. And in the eraser tool, just like any brush, you can actually change the brush size, not just by dragging the slider, but by hitting Alt, right click, and dragging to the right or left of your screen to change the size. The eraser, of course, simply erases anything that you've made on the layer. You can select a soft round version. And what I'm going to do next, because how Photoshop layers work, you can only erase or draw or do things on the current active layer. I'm going to add a new layer, and this little eyeball icon here I want to show you allows you to hide layers so that you don't see them with the symbol still existing. So I'm going to rename this current layer as a new one. Now I'm going to show you selection tools. Up here on the toolbar, left side, we have the marquee selection tool. You can see there's other versions inside, but we're going to use the rectangle. You can click and drag to start a rectangular box selection, as you can see. The black and white blinking dashing lines essentially show you what is currently selected. You are modifying or doing things inside this region only. So for example, if we take a pencil tool and try drawing in and out of this box, you will see that it kind of gets cut off at the edges because we can only work inside our selection. Now let's say you wanted to fill a selection with a certain color. There's a couple ways you could do it. You could find the paint bucket tool in the toolbar. It's probably hidden under a gradient in the drop-down menu. So find the paint bucket. Once you found that, you can simply click inside your selection. Since I have some little lines that I drew, I have to select around them to fill the areas. I'm going to undo that, and of course, if you didn't have a little drawing in there, you could just totally fill the region. I'm going to undo that to show you that you can also redo selections just like you can do any type of drawing. To unselect something, you can hit the magic wand tool and double tap outside of your region. That's just a little way that I do it, but the actual way you should probably learn how to do it is Control and D to deselect. Here's the elliptical marquee tool. It's the same thing, it just creates a selection area, and I wanted to show you a little shortcut. To fill your region without using the paint bucket tool, you can hold Alt and backspace or Alt and delete. These change depending on your primary and secondary colors. Another selection method is the lasso tools. I have a polygonal lasso tool active right now, but the regular lasso tool is a more freehand version. And basically polygonal lasso, it allows you to draw lines to create the bounds of an area that you select. This is really great for, drawing around the edges of a building or something like that. And of course you can do whatever you want with the selection, fill it, delete parts of layers, anything you need. A little tip that you can use with either the polygonal lasso selection tool or pencils is if you hold shift while drawing a line, it will snap to different axes, allowing you to easily draw straight lines if you have straight on images or anything like that. You can also click inside of a selection and drag your mouse to move the selection around, which is really great if you're repeatedly filling a certain shape in different areas or repeatedly deleting. Next, I want to show you the magic wand tool on the left side toolbar as an actual selection tool. It is color based essentially, where you're selecting geometries based off of their color. You can see it on the left side where it's located, and it's got a lot of stuff in the top ribbon that you can modify, like the tolerance or sampling other layers. I'm going to go ahead and hide the layer that we were just working on and go to the background layer. The tolerance on the top ribbon allows you to change how strict it is with the colors that you select. You can see here it works easily on this area, but when we select this area, it's a little bit too strict with a certain color, and it kind of gives it this chopped look. If we turn the tolerance down, it will get even stricter, and you'll see this as I select the area. Very chopped looking. If we were to take the tolerance and make it higher, it would be accepting of more colors, and this allows you to get the clean look on something that might not be one perfect color. Now I'll show you how to sample all layers. I'm going to turn back on our shapes layer. And if we were to try to select something from this region right here, it wouldn't work because we're on this current layer. That's just kind of how Photoshop works. We're not sampling all layers, so we can only select things in the current layer. If we try to select it, as you can see, it's just selecting the outside of our shapes. So if we turn sample all layers on, and now we can try to hit the bottom, and it works. Now I'll show you how to select the inverse of an object. This is really useful in a large variety of situations. Now I'll turn off sample all layers, and if I click this object and I want to select everything outside of it, I can click the object itself, right click, and go down to select inverse, and that will flip your selection to be everything on the outside, as you can see. Once you have the selection, you could of course use it to fill or delete anything outside of your object on the layer. Now I'm going to show you how layer hierarchy works in an example setting. I'm going to delete the current layer that I have and just add 2 more. Of course, renaming them by double tapping on the text and typing a new layer name. Now I'm going to make some boxes, but let's change the colors. I'll make the first color a green color, and we'll make the second one type of blue. And I'm going to use the rectangular marquee tool to just draw a couple of rectangles, once on one layer and a second one on the other layer. I also want to show you how you can move items inside of a layer. Of course, we're on this box 2 layer, and it's only going to move the objects within it. So you hit Control and T, you can see the selection come up around the box of where you can move. If you click in the middle of the box and drag, it will move. And you can see that because our box 2 layer is below box 1, it is literally hidden behind the box. If we were to take this layer and drag it up in the hierarchy above the other one, you'll see that it changes which one is on top. That is how layer hierarchy works in Photoshop. You could also change the opacity right here, which would simply change the translucency of the layer, which allows you to see the box behind it. The next topic I want to show you is layer masks. This is really good for non-destructive editing, so I'm going to hide the layers that we just created and worked on. Now I want to work on the background layer, but it's currently locked and you can't do much with it, so I'm actually going to just duplicate it by hitting Control and J. Then I'm going to hide the original background layer, so now that it's just a normal layer that we're working on top. And I'm going to create a new layer and rename it. Once we've done that, I'm going to take the magic wand and try to select everything outside of this strange object we have here. It doesn't work very well, so we're going to turn the tolerance down a little bit to be more strict with the gray color, and it works. Now, we're just going to create a background as an example. I'm just going to fill this with this turquoise color. And I'm going to drag it down below our background layer. So the point of this is to show you how you can non-destructively reveal things. If we were to simply just delete on top of this layer, yes, it technically would get rid of the gray, but what if this was an image where you had some context or, textures that you didn't want to totally delete in case you might go back and change it? You might want to preserve that context. So the way that we're going to do that is by selecting it, and instead of deleting, go down here to the right corner and hit this layer mask icon. You can see right here that it's actually doing the opposite. It's hiding everything in the inside of the shape. So you need to drag this down and invert the selection. Now it shows up exactly what we want. And you can see in the bottom right corner, white is what is being shown, black is hiding. And it works as we desired. Say you wanted to modify your layer mask after you've already created it. You could select the layer mask in your layers on the bottom right, and you'll see your pencils and colors will now be black and white, just like your layer mask. And I'm going to switch my pencil to white because white, remember, reveals. If you draw with it, I actually have my opacity turned down, so I have to turn that back up. If you draw with it, it will reveal what is on your layer. We can see the gray from the original background shown right here. A couple other little things I just wanted to show you. I think text is a really important tool in the toolbar. You can see there's a drop down for different types. We're going to use horizontal though. Once I've selected this, I'm just going to click anywhere on the screen to start typing. Now you can also click on the bottom left of it and you can drag it around to move it very easily while you're typing the text. These are really all the tools that you need to get started with Photoshop in an architectural studio. You can select the text you've already written. You could even change the color over here in the top right corner is where you can select it. You could also change the style of your text up here, or even the font of your text above that. The one thing that I haven't really shown you how to do is just adding an image from the internet. It's as simple as copying the image on the internet and hitting Control-V to paste it into Photoshop. But once you know all these things, you basically have the basics down, the simple tools to make things like greeting cards or getting started on some beginner level renderings. Yeah. Once you're done, you can of course go to File in the top left corner of the screen. And once you're here, you can save your image, so you can of course access it again. Or you can go down to Export. Quick Export just allows you to get a quick and easy image out of Photoshop. Or you could even use Export As, which gives you a little bit more control over the file type and other export settings. I'll open it just to show you that you can see the image size options. It's kind of similar to when you open the file, and the format is on the top right corner. So yeah, now you should have all the tools and skills that you need to get started in an architectural studio. I wish you the best of luck. Have fun. Following this video is going to be a Photoshop Part 2 video where we visualize St. Andrew's Beach House. This is going to use a Revit base model for my Revit video series. In this walkthrough, it's going to take you from start to finish using this base model, and it's going to use some commands from this video and also a couple new ones. So check it out if you're interested.